in my hand. I have every single MacBook that Apple makes right now with the M3 chip, and so I wanted to do a definitive guide of who should get what laptop, what the price is, and compare all of them so you can make the best decision possible. Now here's the good news, all of these laptops are amazing laptops. If you're gonna get any of them, you're probably going to be happy, but they all have different needs of who they can help out the most, so I wanna make sure you do not waste your money. All right, starting out is the 13-inch MacBook Air. It is an amazing laptop. One of the best features on it is they added a new anodized coating so that it does not get fingerprints. That is a huge deal, especially when you show up to an office meeting. You do not wanna be the guy with all the smudges on your laptop. It looks dirty. The 13-inch MacBook Air has this new coating. It looks awesome. This is in the midnight colorway. It looks so good. If you buy this laptop, I think personally that the midnight is the best option to go with because it just looks so incredibly good. This laptop comes with 2 USB-C ports, a headphone jack, and a MagSafe port, which is good because with that MagSafe, it gives you that extra port back so that you can use both of them. It also now does, with the M3 chip, it does 2 separate monitors when you have this MacBook in clamshell mode, which is really good for people who are doing productivity tasks. So who do I recommend this laptop for? I recommend it for business people who have to travel a lot. If you're on planes, if you're having to go, on a lot of work trips, I think this is a great laptop to have because it's the one that's gonna fit in your bag. It's not gonna be all big and bulky. You're probably not doing any crazy big tasks. And so I think it's a fantastic looking laptop for what it is. It works well. You can get a ton of stuff done on it. So for the mobile business professional, I would say this M3 13-inch MacBook Air is the way to go. Now moving up in size is the 14-inch MacBook Pro. This one has the M3 Max 4TB hard drive, 48 gigs of RAM. This is a beast. Now the color of this laptop is the space black. It has that same anodized aluminum coating so that you do not get those fingerprints, and it's just all around a really, really beautiful laptop. It is a little bit thicker in size than the MacBook Airs, but it's not that big of a laptop. I mean, seriously, if you have this in your backpack, it is thicker, it's got enough space, it's got cooling fans, which is really important for people who are creative professionals. It's going to be able to last. The big thing with having a fan is when you have workloads where there's a lot of rendering and there's a lot of time where you're gonna be processing a lot of information, that chip can heat up. What you don't wanna do is get a laptop that's going to thermal throttle. And so this one doesn't have any problem with thermal throttling. Even in this M3 Max version, it is a fantastic laptop. The keyboard on this laptop feels great. It looks good. The trackpad on it is awesome. Apple trackpads are known in the industry as the best trackpads, and so it's super accurate. It's a wonderful laptop. You can also see right here it has speaker grills, which means this laptop is going to sound fantastic. Even though it is a 14-inch laptop, it still sounds bassy and big, not as much as the 16-inch, but it does sound better than both of the MacBook Airs. So I recommend the 14-inch laptop for anybody who's a creative professional who is on the move. Me, I do a lot of freelance work, and so for me, this is one of the best ones because then I can travel, I can get on a plane, I can work on a plane. It's the best size, and it's an absolute powerhouse of a chip. Next up, I've got the 15-inch MacBook Air. The 15-inch MacBook Air is an awesome device. It is not flexible. A lot of Windows laptops end up being flexible the larger they are. This is built with a really fantastic shell, and so it doesn't feel at all like it's going to bend or bust in your backpack. Like I said with the other one, it's got that anodized coating, and you can see a little bit up here. It does show a little bit of the smudges, but it's not so crazy. Like, especially, it's only under certain light. Right now I have a big old softbox right here, and that's just gonna show the smudges a little bit more than anything else. So this laptop is a thin, light device with a larger screen. Once again, this is in the midnight blue colorway. It's a beautiful laptop. I love the way that the black keys look with the blue aluminum. Also has a great trackpad right here. It's got a full function row, and so we don't have the old touch bar, which is great because the touch bar had all sorts of problems. This laptop, as you see, does not have any speaker grills right here, and so it doesn't sound as full as something like the MacBook Pro, but it still sounds fantastic for what it is. The screen on this laptop is a 15-inch screen. It's bright, it's beautiful. I highly recommend this laptop, specifically if you are an office worker, maybe a businessman, somebody who's not doing super heavy lifting, but you still want enough size that you can get a ton of work done. I would say this laptop is mainly for the person that's not going to be going and connecting their laptop to an external display, though with this one you can go back to the 2 external displays, which is really awesome. However, the screen is big enough for most people that if you're answering emails and you're kind of doing finances and all that kind of stuff, it's gonna be great for you. Now, the difference between the 15 and the 13 inch, if you're somebody who is going to connect to an external monitor, then I say go for the 13 inch. But if you're not gonna connect to an external monitor, go ahead and get the 15 inch laptop. Finally, we have the chonky boy. This is the 16 inch MacBook Pro. This is an absolutely massive laptop, but it is for the person that needs to get a whole lot of work done and doesn't mind lugging around a little bit heavier of a machine. The 16 inch, just like the 14 inch, has 3 USB-C ports, a MagSafe port, an HDMI port, a SD card slot, and a headphone jack, which means this thing is absolutely kitted out for the professional who's on the move. For me, I love the 16 inch laptop. It doesn't feel super big, especially if you put it in a backpack. For me, I've got a lot of camera gear, so really the biggest difference, I'm not gonna notice that much of a difference between the 14 inch and the 16 inch. As we saw on the other computers, these ones have the largest speaker grill. This computer sounds the absolute best. I mean, it is loud, it has deep basses, it sounds fantastic. So much so to the point where when I'm editing on this computer, I don't even use external speakers because these sound just fine. The trackpad on this device is going to be the largest. It's got the same keyboard as they all do, so it's a fantastic keyboard. So as I said, the 16 inch is definitely something I recommend to creative professionals. It's not necessarily good for somebody who's traveling a lot. If you're like a videographer who travels and does destination weddings, this is too big for a plane. Story time. I one time was traveling with the 16 inch MacBook Pro. It was so big that when I lifted it up, it took up the entire tray in front of me, but I couldn't lift up the lid all the way because of the angle of the seat, and so I kind of hunched down like this. The person came across and said, you know, does anybody want anything to drink? I asked for a coffee. Once the coffee came, I didn't really know what to do with it, so the person next to me was asleep. I put down their tray table and put the coffee there. After I'm working for a little bit of time, they ended up waking up. I look over, the person is up and is seeing this coffee in there, and I didn't want him to think that I was rude enough to put it on his table, so I just said, they brought you some coffee, and he drank it. So if that's you, I definitely say go down to the 14 inch. Now, the last cool thing with all of these laptops is no matter what, they have enough battery life to last you an entire day. I regularly go a full day without having to worry about any of the charging on these devices. And so if you're worried about battery life, this is going to be just fine for you. Lastly, let's talk about the price of these laptops. The MacBook Airs go for $1099, $1299, and then the MacBook Pros, this one starts at $1599. Now that's because you can get the M3, not the Pro or the Max. And then the 16 inch starts at $2499 because you can only go as low as the M3 Pro. So with these laptops, you are looking at a pretty expensive laptop, but what you get for it is good because it's going to last you years. So overall, this is a great season for Mac laptops. We are in an awesome season where they all work great. It just depends on what you need for your specific workflow. Let me know in the comments below, which laptop are you gonna go with? Let me know if this was helpful by hitting the like button, sub to the channel, and maybe you're curious about an M2 laptop because some of these are expensive and you wanna go back a generation. Go ahead and check out my review of the M2 MacBook Air right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.